Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, this is iRadio 1 o'clock news. First, here are the headlines. President Salva Kiir has invited his Ugandan and Ethiopian counterparts to attend the graduation ceremony of the Unified Forces due next week. The United Nations Agency WFP has suspended its barge movements in Upper Nile State due to insecurity and roadblocks. And the National Revenue Authority has started implementing the 100% increment of customs exchange tariffs on goods entering the country. These stories and more coming to you in this news bulletin with me, Kafuki Jada. Now the news in detail. President Salva Kiir has invited his Ugandan and Ethiopian counterparts to attend the graduation ceremony of the Unified Forces due next week. The invitation was delivered to Museveni by South Sudan's Minister of Presidential Affairs, Dr. Barnaba Mariel Benjamin, in Kampala, Uganda, whereas the Cabinet Affairs Minister, Dr. Elia Lumoro, extended an invitation to Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. Addressing the press upon his return to Juba, Dr. Marial said President Museveni assured him he will attend the event in person.
We were able to meet His Excellency President Museveni in order to deliver a message and a letter from His Excellency President Salva Kiir Mayardit inviting His Excellency to attend the graduation of the Unified Forces that will take place on the 30th of August 2022 in Juba. His Excellency President Museveni received the message and indicated definitely he will be communicating with His Excellency President Salva, and all the possibility of his attendance was imminent. We were able also to explain other issues of bilateral importance that His Excellency the President equally responded to, that the relations between South Sudan and the Republic of Uganda are always together.
The graduation and deployment of the Unified Forces has been postponed many times in the last 3 years due to what has been termed a lack of political will and insufficient funding, among others. The United Nations Food Agency, WFP, has suspended its barge movements in Upper Nile State due to insecurity and roadblocks. The humanitarian agency OCHA said in a statement it says heavy taxation and illegal checkpoints were reported along river routes, impacting the delivery of supplies by both humanitarian and commercial boat owners. This, the agency says, forced WFP and logistics cluster to suspend their barge movement from Malakal and beyond Adok and Galdak indefinitely. The escalation in tension and conflict in Tunja resulted in thousands of people displaced across several areas between Malakal and Tunja in the Upper Nile state. OCHA says to the aid partners in Old Fangak reported that the newly displaced people from New Fangak arrived with little to nothing and with no food. It adds that the host population in Old Fangak is an urgent need of food, as the last general food distributions was done in May 2022. OCHA further stated that there are very limited commodities available in the market, as insecurity has hampered the movement boats across the river. The UN humanitarian agency says the operation will resume if the armed actors give assurance they will respect humanitarian movement and commodities. The National Revenue Authority has started implementing the 100% increment of customs exchange tariffs on goods entering the country. This is according to the two separate circulars issued by the Commissioner General of NRA and the Commissioner for the Customs Service Division. The implementation of the tax increase to SSP 90 per $1 from SSP 45 per $1 was supposed to take place in June, but stalled after the Customs Service Commissioner General Akol Ayi Madud protested that the NRA boss took an unilateral decision without consulting him. The matter followed a protest by traders who accused the Revenue Authority of issuing an abrupt notice. They were also concerned the increment will worsen the already high prices of commodities in the market. As a result, the National Revenue Authority extended July 18th deadline, including of the 30% profit tax, for another month. In a statement, the NRA says the purpose of this change is to gradually harmonize the customs value of internationally traded commodities with their actual value determined using the official exchange rate. The revenue collector added that the move will enable importers and exporters contribute their fair share of taxes to the government. This, it says, will help the government improve on the improvision of essential public service to all citizens. In a separate circular, the Commissioner for the Customs Service Division, Major General Akol Ayi Madut, directed the Customs Institution to reinforce the law. The decision is in line with the Financial Act 2021-2022, which the Parliament previously passed and was signed by President Salva Kiir on the 9th of June 2022. However, the tax increase comes at a time when the prices of goods and services have sharply risen in the country. In neighboring countries, governments are removing taxes, fees, and levies on essential food commodities to cohesion citizens from the high cost of living caused by several economic factors. Last month, the Kenyan government removed taxes, fees, and levies on essential foodstuffs. At least 4 children reported dead in recent weeks due to hunger-related issues in Awil, North County of northern Bahr el-Ghazal state. That's according to the Member of Parliament representing the area in the State Assembly, William Well Deng, identified the victims as Adija Malong, Ador Mangok, Juma Kolong, and Akot Garang, who were 5, 6, 7, and 9 years old, respectively. Deng says the victims were mostly children of SSPDF soldiers. He says that the incident occurred in the area of Kir Adem, Mayom Kual, and Mathar Kwe in Awil, North County, as their mothers looked for food.
أنا داير أقول لكل ناس إنه ده إحنا كلنا في محل ده ما في فرق يعني ما في داعي يفرقونا إنه ده وده إحنا كلنا انتهينا سوا وما في داعي إنه يفرقونا إنه ده كده ولا ده كده عشان ده جينا في لا.
MP Deng is calling on humanitarian agencies to intervene, saying the food situation has exacerbated the hunger situation in the state. You are listening to iRadio News. The Director General of the National Security Service Internal Bureau has told the unified police officers to avoid bribes and be patriotic. General Akol Kur said this will ensure the soon-to-graduate officers execute their duties diligently and responsibly in the country. He said some officers of a National Security Service, police, and that of a military intelligence have been arrested for such activities. General Akol also told the officers to shun tribalism, embrace unity among themselves, and protect the civilians and their properties. He was addressing more than 7,000 police officers at Raja Training Center in Juba yesterday.
Traffic police يطلع من البيت بيلقى الأجنبي جسمه أعمر شوية ووقفه كلمه كلام كده ويطلع منه بتاع شاي. في مطار بتاع جوبا ضباط والأفراد بتاع الجهاز بتاع بوليس لأنه ما في أجنبي مسموح له يشيل أكثر من $20,000 في مطار. فالأجنبي بيجي بالشنطة بتاعه ماشي للطيارة. لكن بتلقى ضابط بتاع بوليس أو ضابط بتاع الجهاز أو بتاع معي يا بيمسك شنطة بتاع الأجنبي ده بعد ما أجنبي ركب الطيارة هو بيدلو بيت بتاعه والبيت ده فوقه $5 مليون. أدلو شنو ممكن أدلو 5,000 يا هو كسر بيه المهام بتاعت الدولة. ده ممارسة بنعمله قبضوا ناس مكانه في البوليس في MI في جهاز. ده حاجة practical ده ما حاجة مستحيل. هتواجه الكلام ده لما تطلع برا من المركز. الدولة يدو ثقة فيك عشان كده أدوك اليونيفورم والقايد معك ده.
The police officers General Akol Kor was addressing yesterday a part of the 83,000 forces needed to form a unified army, national security and police services, as agreed upon in the September 2018 Revitalized Peace Agreement. You are listening to iRadio News, and now to the international news brought to you by MTN. My colleague joins us.
Aku, hana magi safir, hana gifiri su mahal tahwilu gurus, sante de malian gurus, gubal mujiri maligana, handira sul gurus fi wilayat.
Italy sa wara zede, Italy sa vitap tajere jere rasul gurus, gubudu gurus fi senta. Ite maruf gali MTN jibulen na momo fi belede.
Aku, momo de biga sunu kaman, besara na kef zado.
Momo de MTN mobile money. Be MTN mobile money de, ite bak de rafi su gurus taki de kulu video telefon take. Ite bak de rasul le ay zone, alindo account MTN mobile money de fi ay zaman, u fi ay wakit dalta der. Ashanta fi fata hisab ma momo MTN mobile money, lazim kelta dusu, nejma, itnen 00, selim, wita bilgo ke tirmin malumat al bisaidi ta kefita fi fata hisab taki.
Thank you, Kafuki Jada. And now in the international news, the U.S. has sent its first ambassador to Sudan in 25 years, 2 years after it removed it from the list of countries that sponsor terrorism. Ambassador John Geoffrey arrived in the capital Khartoum on Wednesday and tweeted that he was delighted to be there and looked forward to supporting the Sudanese people's transition to democracy. Sudan was added to the list of countries that sponsor terrorism in 1993 after accusations that supported Al-Qaeda, whose founder Osama bin Laden lived in Sudan from 1992 to 1996. In 1997, the U.S. downgraded representation in Sudan from ambassador to the level of charge d'affaires and imposed economic sanctions. Elsewhere, Uganda's former Security Minister General Heli Tunwayne has died in neighboring Kenya at the age of 68 following a long illness. He was airlifted to a hospital in Kenya's capital Nairobi 2 weeks ago. General Tumwin was one of the founder members of National Resistance Army, which fought a 5-year war that brought President Yoweri Museveni to power in 1986. It is believed that General Tumwin fired the first shot as the then rebel group attacked a military barracks and launched its Bush War uprising in central Uganda. General Tumwin had held several positions in government over the last couple of decades, including Security Minister and Deputy Defense Minister. And finally, a Russian rocket strike on a train station killed 25 people, Ukraine says on the day marking 6 months since Moscow's invasion began. 5 of the victims of the attack in the eastern town of Chaplin burned to death in a vehicle, officials said. 2 boys aged 6 and 11 were also killed. President Volodymyr Zelensky announced the strike in the middle of a UN Security Council meeting. A further 31 people were wounded. Russia has so far made no comment. That is all about the international news. I am Walmapal, and now back to Kafuki Jada.
Thank you so much for the regional and also international update. And now to the sports news. My colleague Moyo Jacob joins us.
Good afternoon, Kafuki Jada. Premier League champions Manchester City will take on last season's Carabao Cup runners-up Chelsea in the third round of the competition at Etihad Stadium. That is one of 7 all-Premier League ties, with others including Nottingham Forest versus Tottenham and Manchester United against Aston Villa. Holders Liverpool will host League One club Derby County, while League Two teams Gillingham will travel to Leicester City. Premier League leaders Arsenal will play Brighton, Wolves host Leeds, Newcastle take on Crystal Palace, and Bournemouth face Everton. The third round ties will take place from 8th to 10th November. In tennis, Britain's Heather Watson and Katie Boulter both recorded comfortable straight-set wins in their opening qualifying matches for the US Open. Former British number 1 Watson, without direct entry into a major for the first time since the 2019 US Open, beat Russia's Marina Melnikova 6-1, 6-0. Boulter 26 won 6-2, 6-3 against France's Fiona Ferro in New York. Paul Jab also reached the second qualifying round after a 5-7, 6-4, 6-4 win over Switzerland's Antoine Bellier. And finally, new UFC champion Leon Edwards received a hero's welcome on his return to Birmingham on Wednesday. Edwards, 31, upset Kamaru Usman with a last-minute knockout to become just the second UFC champion from the UK. The Jamaica-born fighter was given a raucous reception at the airport and then, with his mother, visited an epic mural created in his honor. Edwards could fight next on home soil, with the UFC open to staging his first title defense in the UK. End of the sports news, and back to you, Kafuki Jada, in the studio.
Thank you, Moyo, there for the sports update. And you are listening to iRadio News. And to end this bulletin, here are the headlines again. President Salva Kiir has invited his Ugandan and Ethiopian counterparts to attend the graduation ceremony of the Unified Forces due next week. The United Nations Food Agency, WFP, has suspended its barge movements in Upper Nile State due to insecurity and roadblocks. And the National Revenue Authority has started implementing the 100% increment of custom exchange tariffs on goods entering the country. That's the end of iRadio Afternoon News. If there's a story or any event you would like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 925 287 870. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on Twitter at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page, iRadio, subscribe to our YouTube channel, iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for the news in Arabic at 1/2 past the hour. I am Kafuki Jada. Thanks for listening.